Okay, how are you today? Good? Okay. Okay, today we have, like what I say, we have lecture and then we have in-class exercise and you will be requested to go outside. So you won't go too far because we like you to do observation in campus. So I think second half of this class, you will be asked to divide into two groups. So high group and dry group, okay? So we will prepare a set of tasks for you to achieve. So if you received my email yesterday, we need you to do a small presentations based on your observation exercise today. So, but before that, I like to talk about your first assignment. So don't confuse with the being planning assignment, okay? So this is the assignment I'm going to talk about that. So this assignment called unobtrusive observations. So I already mentioned that in the first day, unobtrusive is meaning you don't get attention from the public or you not intend to attracting any attention in the public. Okay. So what I mean to do the unobtrusive observation, you hide yourself from the crowd. Okay, you do the observations. So for this assignment, you need to take pictures, at least 10 photographs, and or drawings. So I later will show you previous student examples, so we get some idea of what you're going to do. So like what I say, I kind of like both. So if you're able to take photograph as well as doing some simple drawing. So like what I say, because human behavior in the public sometimes is so subtle. So you may not be able to take picture instantly to capture the very detailed part. So but your eye can capture it, right? So I think you can use both to illustrate the human behavior in the public. So not just people. I think the whole idea actually we like you to consider the interactions. So what sort of object, space, people that the identifying person that you want to observe. So I think this assignment I thought I had seen previous students did their work. I think it's quite interesting. I would recommend you to go to the place that you haven't visited. So like what I say, that's make you more sensitive to the object or to the things. So that will be easy to build this talks. And okay, how? And find a place or corner where you can do observations. An obtrusive, like what I say, you are not going to attracting any attention from other people or from someone. So otherwise, you will interfere the normal activity, like what I said, right? So try to blend in, yourself into the crowd, and then you observe. And I think it's not a one-off task. So I think you have to plan ahead. So what I mean, I would expect you to observe, to do the observation over time. So you can plan ahead, okay, so every 3 times per week, you go to the same location, same place, in different times, the same target. You can get closer, or you can stay afar. You can go up on the top, look down, and try to different angles to look at the same object. Okay, so you will surprise that you probably find a very interesting finding. So I have done that many times. So the first 15 or 30 minutes is you don't know what to do. Okay, you're just walking around, wandering. So it's normal because you are warming up, right? But until you have no idea what you observe. Until something catch your eye. Maybe someone perform differently, or a couple of people why they collect or why they assemble in a particular area and they talk, like parents. Why parents always talking, checking in the playground. So probably one of the things that you catch your eye and then you go and observe. Record like what I say, probably photograph is physical, particular in a specific place, like street photograph, they are very sensitive to camera. So when you're doing this project, you have to make sure that you are in a safe, keep a safe distance. So of course you understand your target group, and you know they may welcome camera, I don't know. And of course you're also welcome to do some drawing. And apart from that, you always doing questioning. So as a designer, as an observer, you are not just passively seeing or looking, you are seeing. Seeing also means understanding, right? Understand. So you have to question why people interact, or why people they have a particular performance in a particular time. And for example, when I observe Mont Port Pine Street in the past, so you will find out that in the morning time, so there's a different stakeholders. In the morning time, a lot of older people, they walk by, and that's what I thought. But when I really do the observation, so I find out that a lot of domestic helpers, they actually also walking by because they have to carry the children go to school, right? So you will see that the observation always challenge your existing, kind of impressions. And like what I say, observation is not one-off, so you have continue to do the observation in order to find the common patterns and find the very subtle gestures for human behavior. So I'm guaranteed that in the first few times you couldn't find anything, but this is normal. So the longer you stay at different time, so probably you will find out or find interesting patterns of human behavior. Okay, so I will post this assignment briefly to our server. So for those who are able to attend this class, you can inform he or her to check out this assignment brief. I also will suggest some questions. You don't have to ask this question. You can come up with your own questions based on the target audience, the subject, the object, whatever. Then you can develop your own questions. But those are the starting point, okay? So what do you see in observing subjects? What is the reason for this and that behavior, so and so forth. So again, And when you do this observation exercise, I will also recommend you, apart from bring your own camera or iPhone, smartphone, you always bring your notebooks. Okay, so sometimes you have to mark down something, right? So or you quickly have a quick sketch. So I think always bring along with your notebook or drawing books so that you can capture everything. And here's the deadline. So October 7th. So what we ask for, you just send us PDF. So again, upload to our server. A4 size, A3 size, 4 pages. So as usual, we like to see the maximum of 4 pages. Okay. So don't forget that I forget to tell you the founding conventions. So in the past, a student just saying file with version 1, version 2. So I have no idea what's the name of the file. So to make it consistent, because later you will have a lot of assignment to upload to the website, and make sure your full name, okay, as your final name, okay. One stands for assignment 1, assignment 2, and so forth. So follow this rule, okay, for conventions, so that Kai and we can be easily recognized based on the file name. Okay. Any questions so far? Okay, if you don't have questions, I'm sure that you wonder what people students do. So I prepare a list of example, this. Okay, I just randomly click. So this is one of the examples. So don't get me wrong, I don't mean that those are the good example. So you have to verify whether it's good or not. So for this one, I quite like it because this student actually observed how customer actually interact with how to give the ketchup to French fries. So I think this one I have to draw your attention. If you really want to do handwriting, so make sure your handwriting can be readable. Okay. So otherwise, kind of be unable to see and understand what you want to say, okay? So to me, I'm not really high recommend you're going to do that, okay? Drawing perfect, layout perfect, but your handwriting has to be readable, okay? So if you want to write down something, just write down on your notebook, okay? I would recommend you to type it. Okay, make sure your lecturer is able to read it. So again, because we are design student, so we also consider the flow of information. So you have to guide us, Kai and me, to follow your flow of presentations. I think for us, 4 pages, I don't think you need to beautify the cover page. So I think you have to make good use of 4 pages. So some of you have a lot of information, observations. So to me, I think those decorative images, I think if you have a lot of things to say, so I don't think you worry much about beautifying your cover page, but some of the factors, factual information you have to list. For example, the subject of this class, the full name, your student number, so and so forth, and this assignment one project title. And of course, I had mentioned that so when you were asked to do some assignment, you probably need to think about that you are not just summarizing, you have to analyze, and then you come up with conclusion. And then you have to, the more good thing to do, of course, you have to suggest some solutions. So, for example, this one, I quite like this one. First, you will be able to see, okay, the whole idea of what the student looking, okay? So definitely, the student would like to observe how their teachers really, take care of the luggage, right? So the luggage is no longer a luggage, could be, a seat. So I think this student, quite long staying in the same locations to see, okay, a group of people or people they actually walking by, and then they carry the luggage, different size of luggage. And let us say I would like to see pictures, okay, and then how you like to address, okay. So for example, front side, top side, and particular the objects. So you have to provide, kind of informations or photo captions. So again, some subtitle. So I think you have to regroup all your raw data. And of course, you come up with some solutions. So the whole idea observation, of course, we like you to talk about what's the problem, okay? Why people perform like this way? Maybe they do it really wrong, and they always go to a different way of, out of your thinking. So why? And let's say you come up with some suggestions, some conclusions to conclude what you're finding, and the better, of course, you provide some design solutions. Okay, this one I also like it. Like what I said, when you do observation, you have to consider where you're going to do, okay? So you can do it in the footbridge, okay? So you don't have to use the same level of what usually people are looking, right? So you can climb up to a higher level to make a better, wider shot. So maybe better view for doing observations. So for this case, I think I quite like this topic because the student would like to see how people jaywalk. So they not follow the proper footbridge, they rather to do the jaywalk. So walk directly across the road. So what way they are doing. So of course you have to show the evidence, right? So this, of course, you are not just display a series of photographs. So don't get me wrong that this is not a photograph assignment. So this assignment involves some analysis and human behavior. Okay. So so photograph is one of evidence, but at the end you have to provide your analysis, or you have to tell Kai and me what's the problem and why people rather to select jaywalk rather than to go to the footbridge. And in the first glance, I thought it's kind of a game, battle game or whatever. But when the more I look at it, it's mini-busting positions. So I think it's good to develop your kind of remark on the top right-hand corner in order to, decode your image, okay? So again, human behavior, if you remember the information design class, so you can use a very simple, graphical form, circle, triangle, arrow, so to indicate the movement, okay, or human gestures. So this one, I think, is also one of the examples. And of course, come up with some analysis. And this student also identifies some issues, and then the student also provides some solutions. So if you're able to spot some difficulties, problem, more likely you want to say something about it, right? So you probably like to rearrange the sitting plan, for example, in this case, or you want to suggest to the design should be go for that way. So tramway stations. So also interesting. I don't know how this student do it. It seems that sky, eye in the sky, right? So I think the student, I don't know, maybe he went up to the worktop and how the student really just calculate how the people line up and then get on to the crane. But again, this is also interesting project, right? So how people behave, because they are so follow the human behavior in the public, right? So they don't talk to each other, but they really follow and they easily naturally line up and then they get on to the train. So again, so I think maybe if you do this project, so I think it seems that the student just do it at night. So if you think that your data always do it the same time slot, probably you have to change your strategy. Maybe one day you can do the same observation at nighttime. So, daytime. See what happens. Okay. So again, maybe you find out some interesting patterns. So that's what we want you to say, or what we want from your project. What we want to see the new perspective from a very ordinary, daily, activities. So is it okay? Is it you want to see more, or you already get what I say? What did you? But the more I saw, okay, then it may not good for you because a lot of project, a lot of topic already done. So I don't think that you want to do the plan way observation. So this one again, another human review. So this one is even go detail. So I think this student live in new territory, and then every day the student have to take a light weight. Okay, and you will see how the student capture the passenger line up. Okay, so you will see the pattern. So I think it's always good. So it's not just about photograph, because the longer you record the data and then you collect and present, so you will see a pattern. So door 1, door 2, door 3, and different time slot. So again, you also need to record. Okay, for example, you went out 10 times. Okay, to observe particular objects. So time 1, okay, I stand there for 3 hours, and the second run, I went there and then I observed 2 hours, for example, and then come up with some data, and then you have to consider how you present it. So like what I said, the ultimate goal, we like to see how you describe human behavior in a natural environment. So again, natural environment, natural setting. So because they perform naturally, right? So this is the notebook. This is the student also sent me the student book. Okay, I think the last one. Okay, again, I would recommend you to write more instead of waste one page for beautify the cover page. So I think this is another example. So again, you will see that suggestions, conclusions. So I think the middle part is your analysis, and the last few paragraph, based on your observation or finding, you kind of provide some solution, and you conclude your observation. Okay. So this is the examples, the previous student examples for your reference. Okay. So that's so good. Okay. All right. Okay. So I think we all there, and then maybe we take two minute break, and then we come back. We have mass lectures, okay. And then the lecture will take around 1 hour, and then because we have been, keep talking about the principle, I think that's why I think come to the second week. I think we have to do something, okay, today, in order to put the principle into practice. Okay, 2 minutes, come back, and then we have our last lectures. Hello. I think if I allow, I want to spend 1 minute to talk about this. Testing. This one, I think I'm not really recommend you to do it. I would treat it as a fail case. So nothing I can see your analysis result except photograph. So like what I say, if you submit a similar quality of work, so I guarantee that you get a fail grade in this assignment one. So although you submit, but didn't really fulfill our requirement. So don't forget that you are not requested to take a picture, but you have to provide some analysis with detailed explanations. So if you really show photograph, kindly will look at each photograph. So it would be better to provide photo captions. And this one looks good, but it's kind of weights because we require you to submit 4 A4 size, 4 pages. And so to me, you just halfway to go, right? You just do 2 pages, and this is empty 2 pages. So again, you have to fully utilize your pages. And this one, I quite like this one, but why I have to take it as an example, because this student actually, the student do the surveying at the student home, okay? So, which means that you really go outside, you just turn on TV set, and then look at the image from the TV. So this is not what I expect to do observations. You actually do observation through the lens of a TV set, but because you are not in, there, so you overlook or you definitely you won't see any very detailed information. So because you just look at the screen, you are not put yourself in the real situations. So this one, I really like the illustration style. Some of you are really keen into doing illustration. That is fine, perfect. But again, same example to photography. So this assignment is not about illustration assignment. So whatever you do this assignment, so illustration fine, but you have to treat the content as equal as the illustration. So if you can do a beautiful illustration, we also expect you can provide profound, very in-depth observation analysis. So I don't mind point form, but if you all the thing about your content list by point form is not gonna, perfect. Okay, I think that's it. I hope that those examples, some are good, some are bad. So I think I leave you to determine which way you go, okay? But I think I clearly to illustrate, based on the PPX student example, I'm sure that you know what you're going to do. Okay, I think we have to start. I think, like what I said before, the first 2 weeks I will be responsible to talk about observations. Today will be the last chapter of observations. So I'm sure that observation will not stop here. So these skills will be carried on over the 13 weeks. So all in all, you will do observation, not just for assignment 1, but I think for your final project wayfinding system, for client group, men's neighbor, or aging issue, that you still need to apply observation all the way to the end of this semester. So already show you this image. So it clearly talk about the gap between end user and designer. So like what I say, or your design. So when you launch your design, actually the end user, they have a different interpretation, and they will use a different way to use your design, and they have a different needs and different expectation because they want to achieve their tasks or daily tasks. So your design have to be, useful, accessible, and help them to achieve their tasks. So if you're not able to, really understand their expectation, so how your design will really benefit them, and you spend $1,000 to develop a new design, at the end no one uses it. So that's why in these two subjects we like to highlight why user-centered, or why user has to be the center of your design development. So we have seen, shown you this outline. So it's two subjects. User study session, actually, we like you to provide a better view for fully understand your target audience, as well as content, as well as contents. Okay. So if you're able to master some basic principles, and then we more likely anticipate that you are able to identify problems. And if you can do it, and the next step, you need to translate the expectation or needs to your design. Okay. So at the end, you come up with some design prototype. And the second half of this class, then you have to develop, based on your finding, develop concept, and turn your concept into a physical prototypes, and then you have to refine according to your series of user tests. And at the end of this class, then you provide the ultimate or optimal, the final prototype. And so I have to address that there's no perfect design at all. So you have to provide the better solution. Okay? So there's no absolute design for people. So that's why always you will see there's iPhone 10, iPhone 11, iPhone 12. Okay, so people keep improving. So where you are now, you are kind of in the middle of the second part. Okay, so you have to engage yourself more if you still hang around kind of. So make sure that you mingle with a lot of your group mates, because later you do a group project, right? So I like to recap, because like what I say, it's a last chapter of observations. So why we need you to do observation, because we find observation is really important, and because observation, really at the end you understand people's experience and their needs in a natural setting, like what I say. So in opposite to natural setting is laboratory, right? Laboratory actually is all set up. So people will perform differently in set up setting. So if you're able to observe people perform naturally, you have to go there in the world, in the environment, to do observations. So again, if you're able to observe, find out some needs, so it's always good for design to transform or translate need into a design opportunity. So again, design opportunity, you cannot think in the studio or in your classroom. So you have to go out and find out your own what people interact with your design. So like what I say, people as strange creatures. So they always surprise you, and they always perform differently because people come from different cultures. Even we are under the same culture. If you have a different educational background, different religions, so they perform differently. So it's obvious. So that's why as a designer, as a good designer, so the characteristic you have to possess. The first of course is curiosity, right? So we keep saying that you have to be sensitive. So otherwise, how you can present your idea, how you can find out the problem, okay, that's surrounding you, right? So second, I want you to know that looking is different from seeing, right? Looking is the very surface, level or first level. So you just look at people interact, or behave. But if you are doing seeing, it's go deeper or more profound. So it also engage you to go further to understand the content, the habits, rituals. So it's not a short period of time you can understand it. So definitely it's involve you a longer time to get some basic information. So for assignment 1, of course, it's still a first level, but at least you take start, you get yourself to engage other people's life. So I think it's a good warm-up exercise. So the third one, questionings. So 5W, okay? Why, where, what? Okay, why people doing that, and where they doing that. For example, the parents, right? I always say name these examples. So and the last point is interpretation, which means also analyze, right? So you have to, if you collect all those raw data, so those are the data that's raw. So you won't see any insight until you put it, into a process of analyze. So you have to analyze, that's in many ways, okay? So you can reshuffle, regroup them based on the common pattern. So of course, at the end, you come up with a design solution, right? So this is the ultimate goal. So Kai and me will see how you come up with some opportunity, design opportunity. So the opportunity is new, innovative, and again, same function or same purpose with different behavior. So I think, again, they always out of your thinking. So as long as you open your mind to go to where they live and where they perform in a particular occasions, and they perform differently. So how do I get started? So very difficult question. So because doing observation is easy as well as not easy. So especially you go outside the place, people that you are not familiar with, and then you have to find way out, right? You don't know where you start and what or who intended audience, user you want to go to. So I think like these pictures, so our world is not linear, it's really complicated. And you always, every second you bombard with, a lot of information, overloading information. So that's why we introduced you a method called AEIOU. So it's abbreviations of form. Actually, A stands for activities. Okay. So what they are doing. So what kind of activity they are doing. Okay. So here's some example. Okay. Chatting. They are doing chatting, and they are complaining. For example, they are playing game. So you have to identify. Okay. If you go to a public space, how a group of people they are doing very busy doing something. So maybe you can focus one attribute at a time. So you don't worry too much about all the things happening, because otherwise you bombard too much information, right? So this one, I think this framework is really good for you to focus on one thing at a time. Then you focus on activity, for example, for 1 hour. See what they are doing. Okay? And second one is E stands for environments. So where the activity taking place. So okay, for example, in hallway, bedroom, library, canteen. Okay. Don't forget that, because environment is also important. They are saying that okay, environment shape people behavior or performance. For example, if you go to see a movie in the theaters, so you always walk silently, right? You walk, careful, because you don't want to disturb people enjoying the movie, right? So again, the environment itself also constrain people behavior. So the manner they perform have to suit the environment. Okay. So that's why when you do observation, so you have to consider where to go. And the third one is I. I stand for interactions. So very easy. Okay. So how people interact with object, people to people, people to space, so and so forth. Okay. So again, maybe the third task, the third 1 hour task, you focus on interaction. So I think again, if you go to shopping mall, so how you can you make yourself set behind in the cashier, for example, or reception centers. How people doing conversation. So what kind of gestures they perform, okay? And the third one, the fourth one, O stand for object. Okay? So what kind of object being put to use? Okay? So why they use it? And it's not one object, maybe an object after one object. So what's the sequence between those objects? So also you can describe, you can capture, you can use your written form to describe it. And the last one is user. U stands for user, your end users. So it also means stakeholder, right? So how many stakeholders involved in this activity? So maybe parents and children in playground, and you realize that it's not just two stakeholders. You find that domestic health also involved this kind of activity. So again, there's no shortcut solution. I think once you get yourself into their world, hopefully, and at the same time you have to be open-minded. So receive, as much information as possible, and try to record everything, and then later you come up with some ideas. So what's the ultimate result or by doing observations? So probably we have mentioned it before. So the ultimate goal, of course, we'd like you to identify problems. So for example, if you are told to do a revision of iPhone, for example, or sports shoes. So because the design already there, but you want to improve it. So, but I think again, of course, the one thing you have to study about the competitor analysis, the previous version, the material. But I think the other thing you need to see how people interact with the existing product, existing design, right? So again, you want to identify how people adapt or reinterpret things in a lecture setting. So this is a very interesting part. So you are assigned to go out, you have to see how they readapt and reinterpret. So this is the key words. You have to keep that in mind. And discover improvising solution. Improvising means thinking. So people do things without any planning or preparations. So they do just things based on their emotion, for example. So how do they solve the problem? Okay. And the third point is patterns. It's always important. Why people keeping doing this way? Why not that way? So that must be a reason. Because people find it easier, more convenient, or faster. Okay? That's why they keep repeatedly doing the same thing. So then you have to pay attention to it. So maybe this is also a good solution for your next version of design or regular design, right? So this is examples. I don't know whether you know it. So I think it's a very vernacular, a very local culture solution, right? This is a pack of sugar, right? When you having your lunch or dinner, when you go to your local cha. So normally they put the pack of sugar under a glass, a table of glass, right? Why they do it? So because it's in local, wages, if you make order, they always write down the dishes that you order in the white card, right? And then they put the card under the glass, right? So that's why there's a small gap. They allow the waiters to put the card inside the glass. That's why this pack of sugar create a space, allow them easily to insert the card, right? This is a very local style. And this one is also interesting, right? So salt fish. So it's also a very traditional food, preserved food. Particularly older people, they like it. Right? So how do they dehydrate monster or water inside? So I think the very tasty or interesting method, and then they use the net, and the net just grab the fish and then put it outside, right? And then the sun wind to dehydrate the water. So I think it's a clever way. So you never thought about how to do it, right? Until you see it. And this way, also what I call improvising method. So you will see that, okay, this is, some of you may not know this, what is it, right? Maybe some old people know that this is cassette. Okay. So I think this one is interesting. So why this person doing this way? Okay, the handle become for tower. Okay, so I think it's a good idea. I think a lot of old people, they like taking shower at the same time they listen music in the shower place. So that's why they put the cassette, machine into the bathroom or shower room. And the towel, the handle of this cassette become for hanging the towel. That is amazing. So So actually, this one I went to Japan. They has an exhibition talking about the daily how ordinary people transform the object into a different, alternative way of usage. And this one again is handle, but a bicycle handle, but and for handle, I think it's keep the hand warm, okay, by using plastic bag. So I don't know whether you have experience when you cycling in the winter time. It's really freezing, right? So your hand will turn really cold. So I think this one, by using a recycle bag and protect the hand. So I think this again is carefully. Second point of why we doing observation, the result. Of course, the ultimate goal is freezing the designer from existing paradigm. So I think it's also important. So because we are shaped into a particular direction. We are so believed in something. Okay? So that's why when we look at something, we stereotype it. So that's why when you do observation, so we give you alternative way of people doing or behaving. So that's why the second point, break through the limitation imposed by the existing solutions. So if your boss or tutor always asks you, can you give me some innovative solutions, okay? And then you say, no, I cannot do it. That's what I can do, okay? So again, if you get stuck with, bringing some new innovation, I think it's always, it's a good time to go outside to do some observation. And for example, I show this example to you. So this cloth hanger is very amazing solutions. You haven't thought about that? How about this one? Again, sandal is sandal. So I think housewife always have a good idea. Okay? So when you work at home, so why don't you do it cleaning at the same time? So again, combine two unrelated objects together will be a good design. And this one, I don't know whether you always has experienced it. So I have a lot of this highlight pen. So this one. So whenever you open the cap, so you always get dirty, right? I don't know how to solve it. Until Muji. And that's why we spend too much money on Muji buying their product, because their product is so good. They really concerned about human. Okay? So press highlighter, I think solve all the problem. Okay? So you don't worry too much about get your hand dirty like a child. Okay? So again, so I think we always find problem on and off. No one really solve it. Okay? Why don't you solve it? Why keep or tolerate a lot of bad design? Why? Okay? So it is so obvious, but no one kind of really interested to resolve it. Okay? And the other thing is turn design into a cultural practice. Again, because we come from a different background, different cultures, so I think observation will help you to get more understandable. Okay? So because if you come from a different culture, you may be able to learn their cultures in order to understand why they perform like this. And culture is really important. So someone you find doesn't make sense, but they find it so makes sense to their world. So again, you have to put yourself into their shoes. So this example, I think, is one of my favorite examples to talk about not just cultural differences, about aging. I think different age background or different age differences. So this advertisement actually went viral when they launched this kind of light box advertisement talking about child abuse. And the advertising agency, they use a very high-tech knowledge to apply this kind of advertisements. And you will see that they actually, this one advertisement, they target into two groups. One is adult, and another one is children. And they use a different angle because they realize that, okay, when an adult look at pictures or look at the advertisement, they have a certain width of angle of viewing. But for children, because they are shorter and they view always different from adults. That's why they want to provide a two message at one end. So here's the movie that you can look.
And our foundation manages an and confidential telephone line to attend children and teenagers under a risk situation. As a result of International Day Against Child Abuse, we launch a message for those ones suffering any kind of abuse. A message exclusively for them, hidden from adults' eyes. The editor uses a lenticular to assemble two images, the one aimed at adults and the other aimed at children. The lenticular allows you to see one image from one angle and a different image from another angle. From the average height by age, we can determine what part of each image will be seen by each person. In this way, we find an area only visible by children under 10. A message only for children. And a warning for adults.
Grammarly does more than catch it.
So again, I think this is a very good example. So if you don't put yourself to the children's perspective, so how you can come up with these great solutions or great ideas. So because if you know that how they see the world and how they receive information because of the physical height, and then because child abuse really secrets instead, and they don't want the parents because they don't dare to prosecute their parents, right? So that's why that's a separate message. And when the child they look at the message, they can call the help line online, and then and the adult actually they cannot see the online or they cannot see the message at that time. So I think this is a very clever way to distribute two messages to protect. And other examples, I want to show you how design students develop homework when university students cycle. So I think the whole process is quite interesting.
The beggar on the trip, what you all come in. With a little bit of this and a little bit of that. You can get what you see, you can see what you get. And I bet you get your heart a little bit excited. If you need an autograph, money I can write it. I got girls from
you see the trouble with me.
I didn't get coffee because much more than I got to my life walking around now.
But I didn't actually have to stop for coffee, which means most of the time I don't get a good coffee because I don't have enough time to stop. This would be awesome. Perfect.
Actually, they don't want people to do something there, right? Yeah, carry it along with it. The coffee or another way. So it has to be versatile. So that's like the market. There's tea. Yeah, we have to come up for
and also a lot of people can bamboo or other brands, not just coffee, right? If they need to work with somebody else.
No, it's more like on campus, need a fast and easy way to get your cups or coffee cups across the building, and you need it to be cheap, bring it down, and go.
There's binding thing around it, and that's it. That's easy, because I can do anything.
It fits well?
Yeah, that's why I was
Okay, so you like the one because of it?
Well, actually, you might have different size, like cups, sometimes maybe like cups.
You're right.
the cup has holes in the bottom, so that when it rains, the water doesn't accumulate in the cup. A great product to be manufactured and make sense of life.
I think this video actually captures all the important part of this course. I think the most very exciting part, I think we are looking forward how your design in the first stage and how workable for the end user. So I'm sure that a lot of time you will be challenged not by tutor. I think the most important part is the feedback from the end users, and then how to push the limits of your design to provide better solution for them. So because of time, I'm not going to show this video. I think this professor, she's so keen in collecting a lot of coffee lips. So and then more than 1,000. At the end, she came up with some very interesting research solutions. And this one, another coffee lips. But that design was designed by a Korean-based designer. When I look at what he talked about with his design, I think it's all about a personal kind of sensation because he's a guy. I'm sure that maybe he has no girlfriend. That's why the whole idea actually, because he addressed that in the morning, he liked coffee, but when his lips actually get attached to the coffee lips, you feel like a girl, a dream girl actually kissing him. So that's made him, develop why maybe another man like me so lonely. I think every morning, in the morning, if a girl kisses me, it will be a good feeling. That's why. And he designed, so rasa kind of a form profile of this coffee lips. So maybe in the Halloween is kind of scary, but anyway, it's a good try. So he's saying. I don't know how it will go, but anyway. And anyone know this company? IDEO? It's a dream company, right? It's an international design consultants firm. And actually, I think a couple of years ago, they established a branch in Shanghai. So they also recruit some student for image. So I think it's a very famous design consultancy. And what makes them famous, of course, why I introduced, because the company actually was the first company to introduce ethnographer into their design team. So who she is? She's so famous. She's called Jane Felton Shores. Have anyone know her? Okay. Her background actually was studying human, of course. That is quite a strange title, a director of human factors. Okay. So it's really, at that time, I think 20 years ago, more than 20 years ago, when she was a director of human factor department, and no one knows why human factor is important for design. And what they are doing, I mean, at that time, they are just doing observation, one thing, observations. And in her very tiny books and very bestseller books, and called Thoughtful, I think we have a copy, Thoughtless Acts. So you can borrow this book, small book in our library. So it's all picture driven, okay? Because she captured a lot of human interaction with the automated objects. So for example, I just post some examples. I think it is, if you're interested, you can Google her work, her examples. And we have seen so many times human or people, they interact with automated objects. And how do they deal with daily tasks? So, for example, in this case, people jogging in the morning, and they put the key in the shoes lace. So I think it's very common. She treated it as a very good design solution, and that's why whenever she observes and records, and then her responsibility to talk to the designer, the design team. So she showed this kind of picture to the designer. Oh, I observed how people perform or interact in a particular time. So maybe a good idea to translate into your next version of, developing like issue, for example. Again, people always put the, bag on the toilet, baby toilet. And how do you warm your hand? So those are the very subtle human gesture. But if to family, she would treat it as a very good design opportunity. It's an innovative way of solving a problem. And in 2003, IDEO actually, because a lot of entrepreneur or business party, they find how you come up with a lot of innovations. What did you do? And then because too many people ask, that's why they launched this box set of cards, 51 cards. So provide 51 innovation solutions. Again, you can borrow this box set in this box in our library. And every piece actually provides solutions. And they divide the solution into four categories: learn, look, ask, and try. So they divide into four major categories. And based on each category, they introduce a different research methodology. So I encourage you, when you're doing your final project, you can adopt one or a few of the method. Maybe you find it very handy to follow. So collage, a day in the life. So I was inspired from this box set, and I also adopt some of the method into my design project. So I think to conclude these lectures, again, we need to do observations. We appreciate observation can bring innovative and new design solution. So it's not easy to do observation because, like what I said, it's involved a long period of time of observing people because people do things in a very subtle way. So you have to spend time on them. This AEIOU framework is really useful for beginner, even for the advanced researcher. We still using AEIOU for our daily observation. So keep that in mind, okay? I'm sure that for your assignment 1, you can also use this framework. Again, don't get panicked because when you look at too many things happening, so you just talk to yourself, okay, I can do one attribute at a time, so then you will be easy to get started. And don't forget that observation is not passive observe. You have to always ask questions and challenge the existing circumstances. Okay? So I think that's all for my part. Any questions so far? If not, I think we will go to the in-car exercise. Okay, so you will divide into two groups. So client group and brand group. Okay. So each group you may send a group leader to come forward to take one assignment brief or in-car exercise brief. So for brand group, you need to take a green or blue color of a set of exercise. So I will talk about this later. Okay. So could you send a group leader to come forward to take one for my group? And client group and yellow sheet. And you are told to study or doing observation at Poly Library. Okay. So for my group, you are told to go to student canteen. So we have a couple of student canteen. You don't need to go all the student canteen. You can pick one of them to do observation. And like what I say, observation is not easy. That's why we develop a sample worksheet for you for your discussion. Okay. So before you really go out, so we come up with some questions, some simple tasks for you to discuss with your groupmate, and then before you come. And then again, because library is a quiet place, so if a group of four, so make sure that, for example, we for environment, right? Because they have kind of requirement. So I think you go to library, you have to follow their requirements, and you do observation. So for example, I don't think you can take picture at the library, but I don't know, you can do some drawing for sketching, or you can do whatever way, okay, maybe not showing the human face. In the canteen, my group, and I think whatever catch your attention, you can discuss your own name before you go. Maybe you can study the menu on the screen, so how people order food, or the logistics, how people get their food. Okay, so this is just an example. So for library, I think you can study the wayfinding system, or the borrow book system, or the reading the newspaper or magazine space, how people relaxing, reading newspapers, so and so forth. So you can provide some solution. So this time around 1 hour. So I think first thing you come forward to take it. Otherwise, you don't know what to do. And order.
Hello, RTV.
Okay, this is library Kai group, and this is canteen one group. Take one. and then form a group. And take a look at those descriptions. One group take one. Okay. So each group take one only. And find your group and read the direction, instructions. And actually, two groups, the worksheet actually are same, okay, except the cover page, okay. So the requirements are the same. Okay? So I think first thing you just digest it, read it. Okay, so who's the stakeholder? Okay, you have to identify the stakeholder. For example, if you require to go to library, so who will be the stakeholder in the library? I mean, who will use library? For example, you can list student, you can list teaching staff, or you can list, I don't know, you can name it, or someone who has a library card from other institution, or someone who has a library card like layman people, they are allowed to go because they have library cards. So who they are? So please listen. And task 2 about context of use. Okay. So who will? Okay. For example, student. Most students they borrow book. Is it really true, or is it just borrow video or movie? They would like to enjoy themselves at the lunchtime period. Okay. So for example, what kind of activity? Okay, you expect you will see before you go to do observation. At least you have your impression first, and then you verify whether your impression really true or not. And then of course you can provide evidence, you provide any pictures or photographs to see what's the problem. And the first task is on-site observation based on AEIOU. So again, because you are not going now, what I want you to discuss first, at least you can share your experience about library canteen based on AEIOU, and then you have some, preconception, whatever. And then you go out, okay? So I think I don't count any time. I think you can discuss your project first and write down some idea, and then based on the problem you want to, or target audience, or target object, or area or space you want to focus on, and then you go. Okay. So please come back about 12. At 12. Okay. So it about now it's 11:15. Right? So I think if you're already done, so you don't have to come very late. If you all the teammates already collect data, then you come back. You have to build a PowerPoint or presentations to summarize your finding, and you provide some design solution. If you identify some problem in a particular area. So Kai and me will come to you. Okay, we will walk around. If you have a question, feel free to ask us. Okay. So don't forget that don't discuss too long. Okay, you need to spend time to do observation. So please come back to this classroom by 12. Okay, and then you will spend time to build up your PowerPoint and do the presentation. Thank you. Much time on your beautifying your slide. You just make it readable and accessible. Okay? You don't need to concern about the aesthetics of each slide. So what I want from you is just pinpoint some key findings. And I think if you go further, I would suggest you to, based on this finding, what kind of suggestions that you offer or you present. And because we assume that you, based on a very short period of time of observation, of course, some very interesting pattern or some very obvious problem. So based on those problems, you can suggest some design solution. You just write a few texts, or you can draw some sketch to help you to describe or explain your idea.
So shall we first say include the three, just suggest our three stakeholders, three main stakeholders. Let me add one more. How's the audience that we have three main stakeholders?
咁你落堂即係冇晒啦，就用紅色就得啦。
好，明白。
咁我想會攞攞法。
好。
Okay, let's start. Okay. Okay, we have the first group. Shall we pay attention to this group presentations? So probably we have a similar content, maybe. So you room 6 of you. So everyone will contribute. Right. Okay, let's as a part.
Hi, so for our group, we're doing observation in Hallviews Library for the magazine and newspaper area. So there are some findings for our observation. So for the magazine area, it's actually two circular kind of area. So for the outer circle, it's actually bookshelves. So at the left corner, there are computers and stuff, and for the left, two bookshelves are. The outer circle is for books, and the inner circles are for magazines and newspapers. So at the inner circle, it's the two sofa in the middle that allows people to sit down and read their newspaper and stuff. So there are in total of 77 different kinds of publication in total, but then 77 magazines and 34 newspaper in the middle area of, like the inner circle of the magazine area. So 19 magazines and 24 newspapers left, and 58 magazines at the right. And also there are 5, I'm sorry, it's 10 10 newspaper in the middle of the area with a newspaper rack. So there are also two tables, which are the white blocks. The two tables provided for people to maybe use their laptops on it, or maybe to read their books, read their newspaper on it. Moreover, there are 3 sockets provided at the middle, in the middle, like those 3 rectangular stuff, for people to charge their phone and laptops when they're, I don't know, reading newspaper or doing something else. Okay. So at 11:40, I counted the number of people. There are a total of 18 users. 11 of them are using their own phones or chatting. Well, basically, they're doing individual activities. No friends, only doing their own stuff. And then 2 of them, well, 2 or 3 of them are using the sockets to charge their phones. So basically, people go there to charge their phones instead of reading newspapers. And 7 of them are classmates, so we're doing research. So yeah. But then after 5 minutes, there is an elderly woman came to the newspaper area to read newspaper, which is the only person who reads newspaper. And then she spent around 5 minutes playing with her phone and finally started reading newspaper. In this way, like there's a table and then because this newspaper she got from the newspaper rack in the middle, which there is a binder for each newspaper, and then she basically just took off the binder and then sat there reading newspaper. Who is the only one who reads newspaper or magazines in the area who is non-student?
Maybe a retired professor.
We have 3 key findings, and just now Jackie mentioned about second finding, but now we sorry, it is our fault. Okay, and then the first key finding is about the display methods of the publication. The first one is about the bookshelf. You see some of the bookshelves are facing outside where nobody is there. So the people sitting inside cannot realize that, oh, there are some new books, so it is a problem. And another one is about the newspaper stand. There are some vertical newspaper stand, but usually when you want to read a newspaper, you're usually attracted by the headlines. So when they are overlapping, you don't know what the headline is, so it may decrease your interest in reading them. And then there are some labels saying that you should not take away the magazine from the books, from the area. But there are some lost magazines, so we don't know where is it. Is it really read by others, or we don't know how to approach this magazine. So it is another problem.
And for the first key findings, we find our problem is that the outer circle places most of the books on the outer circle. So it's a little bit difficult for people to find out this is an area for magazine and newspapers from the outside, because the people don't usually go inside and see what is the space for from the inside. And the second key finding is the user behavior. As Jackie mentioned, like most of them are using mobile phone and doing their individual activities in that area, but like only one of them is really using that area for newspaper reading and magazine readings. And the third finding is that people have difficulties to aware that it's a space for reading magazine and newspaper. Like this current awareness center, this logo is only can be seen in the inner circle. Yeah, it can't be seen in from the outside. So it's not visible it's not visible from the outside, so people might have difficulty to realize, oh, this is the area for reading newspapers and magazines. So maybe that's a part of the reason why people are doing something not related to newspaper and magazine reading in the area.
So we have proposed some different display methods for the bookshelves. First of all is that we want to build like a staircase bookshelf for the inner circle. So all the people, when they go inside the circle, they can actually see what displayed on the shelves. It's something like on the left-hand side. And we also propose that maybe the chairs should be like the wood one, so people won't get too comfy, so they will have less desire to go there and like sit for a very, very long time or sleep there. And there's also a problem because from the outside, people just walk by the shelves and they did not really notice the shelf because it's like at the waist, the height of the shelf at the waist, so they really look down. So we want the book, like if the recommendation be displayed on top of the shelves, and we have like seen some design that shows the shelf is like a blind, so the shelf is like from the ceiling to the shelf. So it's like a vertical blind. So actually people can see a bit from outside to inside, and there's like a visibility and it's like a nicer feel for readings. Yeah. But the shelf can be also still arranged in a circular way, so it creates an atmosphere for people to read it, and like maybe, yeah, it's like a warm feel instead of like this vertical setting. So also like the title of the place is Current Awareness Center, but nobody actually is currently aware that it's called Current Awareness Center, because even when you're sitting on the inside, it's very high, so you can't see what's happening. So we came up with a suggestion that we can place the name of the writer as it goes, like as a barricade, as like from where you can enter into the area, so that people are aware that it's a current awareness center. And so this is just like a small sketch of how it could be. Yeah. That's it for now.
Okay. All right. Good. Who's the second group? Oh, you. No? Who is the second group for presentation? 頭先講話有第二㗎，唔係你哋先。我哋
and we mainly focus on the stakeholders who is using the search engine, and they are the internet users and mainly in students when we are observing. And there are total 6 computers in there, and then we found that there are 11 students when we are observing during period, within half hours. And
so this corner is, you can see that when you enter the library, it's on the podium floor, and it is in a semicircle area. So the A is the activity that which is searching information. You observe that, and they mainly search the books and also the information about books. We see that their concern would be no seats and no space to settle their belongings. And also we found that they are so confused when using the searching engines.
So when we observe the student, we see that the students stand in front of the computer, and their facial expression is kind of confused, or they are focused on the computer to searching the information. And also we see that the windows, they will zoom the window is very small, so we guess maybe they worry about other people will see what they are searching. So, and then we get some problem, and so we have mentioned that there is no seat in that area, so and also they will put their belongings in the floor, so maybe they will concern about it. And also the parent issue.
So we have some improvement. Maybe we can provide a chair so that they can sit, and then we can have an area to put their belongings in the box. And we can provide some guidelines to the computer so that we can know how to use the searching engine. And maybe we can stick the anti-view screen protector so that we can protect the user's privacy. Others can't see what they are searching.
That's all? Okay, the third group, any third group? I think for the library group, I think both findings are valid. And of course, why they decide like this, of course, in principle, they have their primary, goals in the semi area, the center area. Of course, they would like to project more relaxed. Why they use orange color and the sofa, because in the past, library always look traditional, very old. So that I think they would like to give a new image of library. So like a cafe, like a Starbucks, kind of atmosphere. So people would enjoy to hang around, and I think they have this kind of strategy to revamp the whole library to project a new image of library nowadays. Of course, there's still a lot of issues to be solved. But I think at least based on your initial observation, you point out different issues like privacy, right? Still public for everyone passing by you to see what you're looking at, right? So I think this is also important. Okay? Okay, for the third group. Yeah, let's go.
Okay, so for our group went to the shore of Canteen to observe and try to distinguish the different cuisines and the food divisions, so mainly the Chinese food and Western food, and to see how we can sort of observe the any inefficiencies that may exist, and to see how we can sort of find different solutions to create a better system where the information for people to choose their foods could be easier done. So we decided that our stakeholders were local students, non-local students, and then there's also the staff and the maintenance people that are in there. But I think for this particular instance, we're mainly focused on the local and the non-local students because this is mainly the student canteen. So in that instance, like when we first went into the canteen area, I guess the initial observation is that the visual representation of the menus were all digital signs. But what was really confusing was that when we walked in, there was one really big menu, and then there was also another side menu on the right hand side, with no real clear distinction between what they were or why they were there. And also the second thing is that it is predominantly in Chinese, with also English subtitles, but that was at a very much smaller size. So from a very far point of view, like as a non-local student's perspective, you only see the Chinese until you really closely see the English to really identify what it is. And given the situation and the environment, it's usually very busy and very fast-paced, which gives the non-local students, I guess, a very high disadvantage to quickly try and decide what they would like to choose. Also, on top of that, with an extensive like size in the menu. So then, the second thing that we noticed was that the food pickup locations are very vague, and it's also very confusing in that the signs on the top doesn't really reflect the food that you're actually picking up from there. And so this was, I guess, one of the problems that we sort of identified out of the observations. Even though they do have like sticker, like a laminated sticker note that says what it is, but that's also very small and also very difficult size to read as well. Yeah. And then also the third one was the fact that there was a halal section, which is kosher meat for people that have religious needs. But this was also not very distinguishable, and also there was no signage, there was no clear direction to anyone that potentially needs to have this food for their religious purposes. And so we felt like this was a very a hidden contribution that the canteen has provided, but it isn't used to its max potential.
So next up, we'll be talking about 3 problems and solutions that we proposed. The first one, as Michael mentioned, was visual limitations. And so we found that the menu in the old canteen there's a lot of choices, and it could be too overwhelming for local and non-local students. There's a mix in different cuisines, and mostly it's the font size is bigger in Chinese, and the English menu is really small. And mostly we found that you can only read it if you're really up close, but there's always just a crowd of people in front of the menu. And also another big problem is that after you've ordered, after that really long queue, it's very confusing to know where to pick up the food because on the menu it did say which location, but it's all mixed up in different columns. And so our solution, our initial solution would be the menu design can be improved. The dishes can be organized in terms of location, as in after students have ordered their dish, they could go to each different section for the food that they have chosen, and this could be shown clear on the menu. Also, the English font size can be increased so that it could be more international friendly.
The second problem is that the user experience is somehow problematic because both receipts from the vending machine and the cash counter do not show the pickup location, so that the students and non-local students have to refer back to the screen, refer back to the menu on the screen, and so we suggest that to add the location on the receipt so that they can have nice user experience.
And the last problem was the spatial arrangement. Since that the red circle and the red rectangle means the selling machines which can use the optical cards. However, it's on the E and F zones which no one have noticed they have a selling machine, and people are lined up on the door next to lots of selling machine. However, since this arrangement has brought the zones lined up, so therefore there will be a chaos there, and it will mix up people's option. And because like A, B, C, D, E, F, so they always change their menu. So even if you know which food you can get in which zone, however they will change often. So therefore the zone are not actually correct information, and this leading information and title will mix up the user. So therefore we would like to have a new arrangement of the spatial area. And like for the X part is the place that the halal food which no one have spot there have halal food there. Therefore we would like to have a new arrangement on it. Like we like to use different colors on different zones, and from A to F will be the regular menu that is fixed. So if you like to buy like noodles, it will on the A zone, so you will remember that the red is always for noodles. So you will go there and you will not mess up with it. And for the X is the new area that is for seasonal food or for some temporary and special additional food. Like now in the canteen, we got the Korean cuisine. However, no one has noticed it or know where does it goes. So for the X, it means that you can buy seasonal or special additional food there. So the color can help the user to distinguish different food. And we have put all the selling machine, the octopus card machine, back to the original places, which we don't want them to have an extra selling machine next to the place they can get the food. So it will have a better arrangement of the spatial area so that the canteen can use up their place more effectively. That's all of our presentation. Thank you.
Very good. For this group, I think you identify a very key problem, and I really like your presentation because you also provide a solution that we try to rearrange based on the space, based on the arrangements. And I think one of the important point, of course, is visual hierarchy, right? So how, visual really based on the importance. So how people find things. If you identify ABC, maybe for them it's easy to look for. If you not follow this kind of sequence, maybe they find it very difficult. So I think, yeah, your solution is fine. Thank you. So fourth group, they say Joe. Fourth. Anyone? Any volunteers? Voilà. Okay. And I don't think we can go through all the groups because we have to end 1:30, right? So I think 2 more groups after this group. I think if you would like to share your finding with us, I think use your chance. 2 more groups. But still, Kai and me will still look at your file. So don't worry about that. You also need to upload your complete file to the website.
Testing. So for our group, we did an observations on the PolyU library topics and private space of study areas. And the place is the ground for 24-hour study center. Sorry. When we did the observations, we have found out that there are 3 main stakeholders. There are people going there alone, and then some people partner with some friends. And then the third group of people is those doing the group projects there.
Oh, yeah. So like we mentioned, there are 3 different stakeholders, and obviously it was easy to tell who was there alone. But regarding with friends and group projects, we found that it was actually surprisingly easy to tell them apart, because just by the distance, they weren't as close. Like obviously the group projects, they were larger tables, and they, generally quiet. There was quite some distance between the people. Whereas the friends, they were sitting quite closely to each other, and they wanted more kind of close one-on-one interaction. They were sitting relatively close to each other. And so one kind of thing that we noticed while in the 21st Center area is that the desks are all shaped pretty much exactly the same. It's a repetitive kind of this shape that just repeats throughout the library. And while it works well for group projects with the exact amount of people chair seated, or even when we were sitting down the line, we found that we were encountering wondering there wasn't equal distance between it. And so depending on the user size, group sizing, the library could orient to take different meetings and groups.
So another finding that we have is just the need for privacy. So we saw a man sitting alone, he was watching videos, and you can see based on his position in the room that he really wants privacy. He was sitting very close to the walls, surrounding himself with the walls. But the problem is that that's pretty much the only spot that has walls surrounding it. So our solution is to basically set up more boards in the room so different groups of people can also find privacy.
And our third finding is that there are actually no place for people to put their bags, as we see that some people put their bags on their chairs, some people put on the floor. However, there is actually a gap at the back of the chair. So if people put their bag at the back of their chairs, their bags are actually squeezing out in the chairs, and they easily drop down on the floor. So our solution is to maybe put some basket under the chair so that they can have a better use of space and it won't take too many space and people can still put their qualities properly. That's all.
Thank you. Very good. Yeah, I think library now is you have to give a new definition for the library now. So library no longer just serve book or borrow book or reading, but also hand around, doing assignment, projects, discussion. So that's why in the past 3 to 4 years, library keep changing or keep renovating. So I think because people behavior, people they have a different meaning. I mean for the library use. Okay, thank you. So 2 more groups. Anyone here? 2 more groups. You want? Do you think you can do it? How about this? So silent here. Đi đó.
To small canteen, and our topic is to distinguish different cuisines or food division. And we mainly find 4 problems that will lead to inefficiency for people that come to this canteen. And the first one is the arrangement of food counters. And we find that section A, B, C, D are closely put together, and most of the time there is a mess when there's not people tonight during lunchtime. And for section E and F, they are individual sessions. Therefore, it is having more clear space for people to line up. And we also observe the ratio of people for line up here.
Another problem is that there are some big titles which is in white under the counter, but actually it doesn't match with the dishes it provides. For example, for the C counter, it said Japanese Japan cuisine, but actually we can see in here it is not selling Japanese food, so it may be confusing for the customers when they have to take their food, because they may be the title may be misleading to them and they cannot find the food they have ordered if they just look at the
big title.
And we also have the same finding with the previous group. It's about the screen of the food menu. First, we find out that the words that guided people to take the food is not really obvious. And you can see that it's in the same column of the food order title. And then it's same font size and typeface. The second thing is we observed that the screen menu is different from the self-ordering machine, so that people need to, when they come in front of the self-ordering machine, they have to like see different layout, different from the screen menu. And we also find that we think this is an unknown area because actually we almost skip this area because we don't know what is it. It's like an independent corner. So we think that is not really can connect with the people who is in the canteen. And we're like in this area 5 minutes, but we cannot see anyone go into this area to order food.
So for a solution, we also think that color coding is a good choice. Not only can people, like for example, if the menu is already separated by color, then people can match the color when they go to the different sections. And it's also a more easy way to distinguish different sections. Because for example, section B and C are connected because the same group of staff have to travel between the two sections, so they have to stick together. But we think that maybe on the outside, if they are separated by different color, it would be easier to see. And while we didn't really have to separate them like physically or like make it into two separated space, we also think that color coding can, for example, if on the receipt, if there is not the same color for them to as a reference. For them to go to the section. For example, when they order the food on the menu, they see red, and then they can see red on their receipt again, and then they can find the section red, so they can have the whole experience guided by the color. And we also think of some wayfinding system, like what the hospital did. They stick some color tape on the ground to lead the direction, but we are thinking whether it's really necessary to do 6 different color tape on the ground, but we think it can be something that worth to try. And we think the title and the pictures can be deleted, and not just because it is it is kind of distracting or misleading. We also think that it provides more flexibility for the people. For the menu to change. For example, we see that a lot of people were lining up in section C because section C provides most of the food. It provides 9 items, but for the other section it only provides 2 or like 3 to 4. So we think that if they want to change, like kind of make it more diverse or make this people not line up in the same sections, they can easily change. For example, they can just change the menu and tell people to go to the other section, rather than like changing, like because the title and the picture will be like a limit, and you cannot change that easily. But for the colors, it can be changed rather easier. So to not show the specific cuisine and to not have the title, it can provide the flexibility for the menu to be changed and for the position to be changed too. So that's this. What we find in our observation.
Thank you. Okay, very good. Thank you. The last group. Okay. I think while you going to do your assignment one, then you know what to do. But when I observe what you did, your observation in canteen or library. I think somehow maybe because of time you just want to record really urgent to record some finding. So I think you make yourself so obvious because I saw some students just write down the note on the notebook, and again an obtrusive observation, which means that you don't draw any attention from the crowd. So I think this is just a warm up because you do it in group. So when you do it your own, I think maybe much more easier. So like what I say, when you do it in a different location, if they recognize you are not one of them, they probably will notice you and will give you a warning. So when you do assignment 1, make sure that you are in the safe situations. It seems that it's really dangerous, but no, I'm talking about make sure that you collect a very valid information. Okay, last one. Thank you.
Hello guys, our observation was in the Shaw canteen. So our observation was mainly focused on the ordering process, and we have mainly 4 findings. The first one is ordering efficiency, and the second one is customer's preference, and then the cashier and the ordering machine location and the payment methods. So the first one, ordering efficiency, we have observed 10 customers each for the both ordering machine and the cashier, and we found that the cashier is more faster than the machine, but we have more machines than the cashier. We have 8 machines and we have only 3 cashiers. And you can see the data per machine will take 1 minute and 5 seconds around for one customer, and it only takes 20 seconds for the cashier to deal with one customer. So, yeah.
And then we talk about the preference. At 11:55, we can see that the people lining up from the machine is 16 customers, and the cashier is only 6 customers. The possible reason that the people want to use the machine is that those people may not want to communicate, or those people think that the machine are faster than the cashier. And we think that the most important thing is people may want more time to look at what they want to eat.
And for the location, you can see the machine is at the front door. It's right the social code, you can see that the machine. But for the machine, you have to turn to the right corner. Then you can find the cashier. And for the payment method, the machine only allows the auto gas card, and for the cashier, you can pay both cash and auto.
So we think the current problem is that there is too much demand on machines, and therefore there's a very interesting thing we saw is that when there was not much customer, but the cashier was empty, but many of the customers were lining up at the machine, and this is very inefficient, and we think this is very much a problem. And because people may not know that the cashier is that in the first place, and in the second place, they may not even realize that it is faster. So we think the problem we need to solve is the too much demand on machines. So this is the current setting, and we want to move the cashier to the immediate place where you can see after you have entered the canteen, as it is shown in the graph. And the second thing you will see is the machine, so that people will be more encouraged and have more opportunity to use the cashier instead of the machines. and we would suggest to put an express label on the cashier so that people know that cashiers are actually faster than using machines. This is the end of
Okay, thank you. All right, I think that's all for today. I really like your presentation, particularly some of the groups, they're able to, identify problem. This is just a warm-up exercise. I'm sure that for your assignment one, you will contribute. Definitely you need to spend more time in a particular phase or particular course. Because it's on your own. I already showed you some examples. I hope that you can find very interesting topics in your neighborhood, for example. Or you can, like what I say, I would recommend you to go to some places that you are not familiar with. Then I'm sure that you will more interesting to look at something. And for this exercise, of course, I hope that by end of observation chapter doesn't mean that you end with this today, but I'm sure that you will keep going to use it. And again, your final project is a good project. I'm sure that you have more time to discuss or do a lot of observation with your group mates. And I kind of like the previous book, the last book. Sometimes we use a different method to record human behavior. For example, measuring time as a measurement to justify why we think that quantum machine is not really workable for solving problem of flow of people. Cashier, because they can respond faster, they can, even there's a mistake, they can deal with it in a face-to-face. So there's a lot of reason behind it. So when you have this kind of concrete data or information based on observation, I'm sure your client will be convinced why you have this kind of design solution instead of just I like that, I like this. So more personal view, right? So the whole idea actually is talking about that. So I think that's it. I think I have to say sorry that I really like to listen to all of your group presentation, but unfortunately we're running out of time. Some of you need to take afternoon class, so I think you need to have a quick lunch. So again, if you still have questions, please stay behind. I'm available for answering your question. But again, you still have time to modify your presentation. If you think that your presentation is not complete, you still have time to modify it. And by the end of the day, you can upload your complete file to the website. So we can kind of, don't forget that in the first page of the presentation, please list all your group name and student number. Then we know that who contributes this presentation. So any questions? No? Thank you, and have a good day. So I see you next Monday. Monday will be time for that lectures. Hey, so guys,
But he just take the throne as being like